It easily took the title of the most anticipated release of its year. Watch Dogs had generated buzz around the game that any new IP could only dream of, labelled as a game changer before it had even been released. However, around the huge amount of anticipation, what was shown to the public and what was possible with the technology were completely different.
Secrecy.
Handled by Ubisoft Montreal, who held some of the best talent in the world and had the track record to prove it. In particular, the early Assassin's Creed series and taking over the Far Cry franchise. The game blended the fictional underbelly of hacking with a mature and gritty setting, all the while maintaining a GTA style of gameplay. Although admirably ambitious, this would later come back to dog the game. Ubisoft had to keep the project under wraps, using the codename Nexus. The studio masterfully piqued interest with controlled leaks and strategic rumors. Bits of information, whether intentional or not, found their way into the gaming community, prompting an avalanche of speculation to decipher what the game could possibly be. And on June the 5th, 2012, E3, the community would get exactly that.
The presentation.
And now here with a few words about what's in store for the future of Ubisoft, please welcome to the stage Ubisoft co-founder and CEO, Yves Guillemot.
The co-founder of Ubisoft announced the new project himself, and the audience was introduced to Watch Dogs for the first time. The cinematic presentation would highlight the CTOS, the central operating system in the game, a computer software that manages entire cities, controlling subway lines and surveillance cameras. The game would emphasize a narrative of massive data collection and surveillance capabilities becoming privatized. This reflected serious concerns that had reached a boiling point at this time in real life on how personal information can be used to influence individuals and worldviews, an example of art imitating life. This was as an important topic as AI is today, an exciting premise for a video game. As the viewers are eagerly waiting with anticipation, the creative director would walk over to a media station, pick up a controller, and then begin to show what appeared to be real-time gameplay that overlaid the stage camera in the presentation. Almost immediately after the event, gaming press praised Watch Dogs' gameplay presentation for its groundbreaking and innovative concepts, its familiar setting of a near-future Chicago with an entire city connected and hackable. The main character manipulating the environment and influencing the city itself was pretty exciting. And yes, what stood out the most was the game's graphics that in minutes had seemingly set a new standard for video games and their visual fidelity, with vibrant lighting, atmospheric effects, and its very impressive hyper-realism. Although it may fall short by today's standards, 11 years ago, this was groundbreaking.
Overhype begins.
For those who missed the excitement of the event, the tone of the follow-up and the reaction would slowly set the hype spiraling way out of control. The 9-minute gameplay trailer was now live and news outlets had something to show. Make no mistakes about it, the presence of Watch Dogs nearly tipped the scales of E3 2012 towards Ubisoft all by itself. A brand new game, not a sequel, not a reboot, but a brand new game based on a brand new IP, and it looks amazing. Watch Dogs, movie already in the works. Hot on the heels of Ubisoft's E3 unveil of jaw-dropping game footage comes news that a movie might be in the pipeline.
Competition.
While the hype continued to build, it was quickly compared to another game releasing in the same year. Both would have an open-world environment, a detailed city to explore, and a new standard of graphics. While Watch Dogs had its hacking mechanics, GTA 5 had a 3-character system.
With Grand Theft Auto 5, Rockstar have tried to reimagine the open-world game in a number of ways. The game world is beautiful.
One was based in Chicago and the other one in contemporary Southern California, offering 2 unique, diverse gameplay perspectives. And while GTA 5 was rooted in the present, Watch Dogs had a very subtle cyberpunk tone. GTA 5 leaned into its satire and humor. Watch Dogs took a more serious approach. This allowed both games to become one conversation, boosting each other's profile, leveraging each other's marketing momentum, and keeping those interested to speculate which game their money is best deserved.
Release.
Watch Dogs was set to release on November 2013, and the studio made sure its players knew, with playful and instigating promotional material.
2 months are enough to visit Los Santos.
Posted on Ubisoft's social media on the same day as the release of GTA 5. It appeared that Watch Dogs would arrive late to the party though. The game would now have fierce competition alongside soaring expectations due to the success of GTA 5. The studio would put out a live-action hype video imitating the gameplay to pique interest just days before the release, and this managed to rack up millions of views. Despite this, the crucial decision to delay the release to the following year was announced by Ubisoft. But as promised, on May 27th, 2014, Watch Dogs was officially released on the PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. Reviews for Watch Dogs started flooding in. Eurogamer criticized the game's advertising claim of hacking is your weapon, while Metro Game Central deemed it an enjoyable GTA clone. Telegraph said parts of the game irritated the reviewer, although rarely found it less than entertaining. While professional critics found the game generally positive, players had quickly picked up that what was shown at the E3 event and what sits in front of their eyes are 2 very different experiences.
Controversy.
Digital Foundry, who specialize in game technology and hardware reviews, released a video comparing the E3 gameplay demo against what the game actually looked like on PC with ultra settings. Model physics seem less reactive with clothes, wind effects less aggressive, ambient shaders had been removed, smoke effects removed, textures displayed far less detail, NPC behavior less advanced, the depth of field appears less detailed. Pressure began to mount on the studio to give up an explanation. Ubisoft reluctantly acknowledged the problem. The dev team is completely dedicated to getting the most out of each platform, so the notion that we would actively downgrade quality is contrary to everything that we've set out to achieve. This statement also lined up with the fact that no evidence suggested that what was shown at E3 was technically fabricated, but rather specific graphical features in the live product were just simply removed. And the reason was to allow the game to run more smoothly within the technical limitations of the PlayStation and the Xbox consoles. Despite high-end PCs lacking the burden of console limitations, it seemed that the advanced graphics did exist at some point, but the options to turn them on the PC version had also been removed. There is speculation that the decision to omit these features was likely to avoid any favoritism that could potentially impact the sales of partnered consoles. After all, why would someone choose to buy a game on a PlayStation if the PC version boasted significantly superior graphics? And if you didn't own a gaming PC, then why should you miss out? The game was also criticized for its odd camera tilt while running, vehicular gameplay being clunky while also slippery at the same time, and missions becoming somewhat repetitive. But on the other hand, the characters and the story told resonated with players, praised for its gritty tone, voice acting, and dialogue writing. The game was generally considered in a very favorable light.
Hard truth.
If Watch Dogs had more accurately portrayed the gameplay, it's challenging to reimagine how things could have been. Even without the graphical disparities, the game still had many elements that a minority of players didn't like. With the luxury of retrospect, we can now see that the game enjoyed an abundance of early press, which most likely directly affected pre-sales. Ubisoft would not release pre-sale data, but if we look at the first week of sales, 4 million copies were sold, breaking every previous record. And even though many players felt burnt by the changes, it's an incredibly small fraction of the overall player base. The cost of studios doing business like this is a leaking reputation that's often plugged by the next big game release, to then find an even bigger hole by some other more demanding controversy, like monetization or a less than finished game release. Even if it's from an entirely different studio, problems are quickly forgotten. In reality, Ubisoft faces loud vocal criticism today, yet the company thrives due to the substantial silent majority that continue to love their games. The studio figures have never been better, and if people like their games, well, that's the point. Despite the mixed feelings about Watch Dogs, out of the 80 Metacritic aggregated reviews, even as of today, 0 of them are negative. Watch Dogs on Steam currently has 34,000 mostly positive reviews, and on YouTube, the tone has dramatically shifted towards, actually, Watch Dogs was pretty good. Watch Dogs is the reason why there is an industry-wide discussion on how gameplay trailers should be presented to future players. Although even in today's gaming environment, it seems this lesson is often ignored and unfortunately rewarded for doing so. Watch Dogs was a massive commercial success that led to 2 sequels, and although it appears that the franchise has come to a conclusion, the game still has an amazing community and a dedicated fan base.